Emulate the taste of like non-chicken nuggets. So these nuggets are made from chicken, but they're made to emulate the taste of non-chicken nuggets. Dope.
Oh, that's much better.
Edit all the blather out of your videos because my time is very precious.
Oh, that's fire.
Make it less teal and more
Cerulean? Sure.
Replace your background with something more fun? The cold void of outer space.
Let's boost that sound quality. Emulate the taste of non-chicken nuggets. Emulate the taste of non-chicken nuggets. Dope.
It needs more style. It needs more clips, more gifs, more. Well, I might have made it too gnarly.
Welcome to Descript 101, where we are going to learn how to use the app and make better videos without losing your mind. What's up, Marcello?
How are we doing, Aaron? Thanks for having me today.
Yeah, hey, we're having you more than the other way around.
Heard.
Yeah, so we're going to jump in here in a moment as everybody's getting in the chat and getting settled in. Has your drink or your snack, your notepad, maybe Descript is open another tab. Tell us where you're tuning in from. If you have any feature or interface questions, you might be one of those new Black Friday deal grabbers that you're like, oh, there's this thing I was really hoping that we'd get to see a demo of or hear from. This is live. It's interactive. Marcello is not a robot over here in this box. So if you have any of those burning questions or things you've been wanting to know, put that in the chat so that we can make sure we get to it during the live demo part of today's presentation. We'll be on the stream wherever you're watching from until the top of the next hour, which is going to be noon Pacific time, depending on where you're timing in. Hopefully it's not 2 a.m. In your time zone, but if it is, we appreciate you spending your time with us.
If anyone's listening to us at 2 a.m., you got to really be needing to use Descript for something, man.
Yes, or you're just really hyped to get better at it.
Got to really take advantage of that Black Friday sale.
Yes. Yeah, so let's see. Who's got the most exotic locale that they're tuning in from, or maybe the most obscure place? Yeah, and one of the, if you're a Black Friday person, you signed up for the deal or got the AI credits, that is one of the things we're going to talk about is like, what do I use those for? What should I try them out on? What are the features that use AI credits versus don't? So if that's why you're tuning in to Descript 101, we got you today. Awesome. So as you know, if you're in here, Descript is basically the medium through which you're going to create audio and video. And our goal is to be able to say, you have an idea, we'll help you make it and make it painless and make it look good and make it look so good people think you're a professional video editor, even if you're not. If you are, then you could make them better, find ways to crank out your content faster and be efficient in your workflow. But even if you're not, you don't even know what a timeline is. If you have an idea, you can make it with Descript. So podcasting, tutorials, video trainings, marketing, long form, even just screen sharing as a form of communication instead of sending a document or a Slack, just, hey, look at what I see. Here's the issue. Can you fix it? And you can just send a link to that video without even having to download it on either end. Product demos, especially if you're building a web page or an app and you want to be able to show that off to the world, Descript is a great way to be able to do that. So some FYIs today. If you're on YouTube, we're also on LinkedIn, we're on X. If you have a question, if we go too fast, if you want to see another example of something, throw that in the chat. We have people that are curating that and passing it along to us so we can make sure your questions get answered. We are also recording it. So if you have to jet and you're on a short lunch break or you have to run, we will keep going without you, but we'll make sure you get a video recording sent in a follow-up email You can also share that. So if you know people that aren't here that could learn or should be learning about how to use Descript better, you can share that with them. This will also be housed on our YouTube site, so you can just use the video if that's easier. If you have questions with things that are more support oriented, like hitting a bug or having an issue, we do have help.descript.com where you can go search some of those how-tos and guides and also get support if you need it. And then it only is 2 questions, I promise. This QR code helps us do a better job of these and make them what you want them to be, not just what we think they should be. We'll put that up at the end, but just a quick 2-question survey so we can see if we met your expectations or you have some idea for something to include or remove. We would love to hear your feedback on that. So I'll give you a second to grab your phone and scan that in. Even if you just want to leave it open in a tab, you don't have to send it yet, of course, but then you won't have to scan the QR code again.
These are how we improve these sessions as well. So please, we've made new sessions from these. We've improved past ones. The session you're seeing today is a culmination from feedback we've gotten over time. So please make sure you provide that feedback if you have any. It is absolutely heard.
Yeah, I mean, if you're wondering why Marcel is wearing the yellow beanie, we got feedback from a previous one that he had a demo with the yellow beanie figure, and they're like, you have to keep wearing that. So here it is. You asked, you got it. Okay, we'll put that up at the end if you didn't grab it. Agenda. We're going to go over some of the key features, just like what are the buttons, where do they live, what does that mean on a very high level. So if you're new, we're really talking to you with that. And then we're going to look at the interface of how you use some of those tools. And then it's going to be Marcello live demoing, showing you what this stuff looks like in action. And then the whole time, hopefully you're coming up with questions. Throw those in the chat so we can make sure during the Q&A we address those for you. So what learning objectives, what do we want you to leave here knowing or being able to do? One is just being able to navigate the interface. Like if you know the basic, this lives here and this is down here, you just have to pull it up with the arrow. That's what we mean about navigating the interface. And then if you're a person who wants to edit your videos without messing with timelines and waveforms and blade tools and the things that intimidate non-video editors, you can do that just with a transcript. Basically, you're going to see a Google Doc and then what the video shows. And that's all you really have to do if that's your preferred method of editing, including audio. It'd be the same thing. You just don't have a visual. And then the last one is just what are the key features? Like what's Underlord? What's a layout? And how do you generate media? So instead of just recording talking head or dropping a file in, how do you create something with generative media tools like images and videos in Descript, which you can do. And Marcel's going to show you some cool ways to use that. So let's talk features. The first one here is transcription. So as you see on this laptop, anything that's got narration, talking head, spoken words in your content is going to get transcribed. So in other words, a lot of video editors just show you a waveform. And when you talk and make noise, it goes up. When you're quiet, it's flat. You can do that, but the core interface when you first open Descript is going to be the transcript, and it's going to take all the audio and turn it into words, and it's going to tie the video and audio to the word in your transcript. So that's really the main way you're going to interface with your content. So when you go to edit that, let's say you talked for 10 minutes like Ramdy does in some of his videos, and you find a part that you want to take out. Like I repeated myself, I had a bad take. I paused for 30 seconds and it just doesn't sound good. That's okay. What would you do with a Google Doc or a Word file if you had a paragraph you didn't like? You would take your cursor, you'd highlight it, you'd click delete, and it would go away. Same exact thing, but what's cool about the transcript-based editing is the video and audio goes away. So you don't have to open the waveform and get a blade tool or cut it. You can just add something in your script, take it out, and the video follows that. So podcasts, YouTube videos, screen share demos, anything like that, you can just edit with the text-based editor and not have to mess with anything more if you don't want to. The next one's a layout. If you are going to commit to saving time, my encouragement to you as a Descript 101 viewer is spend a little bit of time using layouts. It will save you lots of time later, and it will make your videos consistently look good without having to set stuff up. Layouts basically help you templatize your workflow. So you have captions that you like. You have a background with a gradient that's your brand, or a logo over here. It's just a way to save how that is set up so that you can record your next video tomorrow and say, put that layout on. Boom. It snaps the frame here, the media there, the exact type of captions you like in the spot you want them. Makes it super easy. And what will happen is people will think you spent so much time making this look good, and you'll kind of smile and say, well, I just set up a layout and now I use it every time. And you'll have some imposter syndrome around your video editing skills. So the next one is Underlord. Underlord is our built-in AI interface. So it can be a chat box down tucked away in the right corner. You'll see the little robot logo. And basically, you can interact with your video and your content through the chat instead of the transcript or the timeline. You can say, what's a cool intro beat that's like fun and exciting that would fit my podcast? Now, there's other ways to do that, but Underlord just gives you the AI LLM experience, just like if you had Chat GPT, but it could see into your video and could read your transcript, and you don't have to copy and paste things outside. And it can actually take actions for you. It can add markers, it can split scenes, it can come up with a summary. And we'll see lots of examples, but it's a familiar way to interface with AI that now lives where your video is. And it has a cool name. The next one is the AI tools that are built in. So while Underlord can use these, you could say, hey, Underlord, center the active speaker. It's also going to be over in a menu, which is categorized around looking versus sounding good. And we have some AI features that you can just click the button and it toggles them on or off. Things like the recording audio didn't come through clear. There's some background noise or a little bit of an echo. If you recorded and you weren't centered in the frame, you can center the active speaker, and it uses AI to be able to do that for you without having to manually crop and reframe every one of your scenes. And then green screening without an actual green screen. Our tool actually does that really well natively. If you have a green screen, of course, it's going to come out almost perfect. But even if you're just in your office or a coffee shop or your car, it does a pretty good job of taking out the background just with a click. So generative tools are this idea that what if you have something that you can't record or you don't know how to record, like a claymation figure walking through an airport. You're not an animator. Well, you can use generative media tools to create those right in your project. You could create them natively in some other app and you can drop them in just like any other video. But if you're going to edit in Descript and use that to publish, you might as well just make it in the app, and there's no download, re-upload, drop in a weird named file. You can do all of that in the same place that you're editing with the transcript view or using Studio Sound. We even have some pre-made styles. So if you're one of those people who goes, well, what would I want it to look like? We'll nudge you towards some pre-made ones and you can see what they look like in the modal that pops out, and do like an anime style or a cyberpunk. And then you'll have ideas and can make it look exactly how you want it in the future. The timeline is the thing that separates video editors from non-video editors, or at least it used to be. Our timeline is hidden out of the way, but it's really easy to drag up just as far as you need it and then put it back down out of the way. That's going to be for your precise edits. If you have a scene transition or a cut, or you took out a filler word and you want to make sure that edit goes exactly where you want it to go, you can just drag up the timeline. make that edit and then put it back down out of the way. Or if you're a hardcore timeline person, you can drag it all the way up and see all of your assets laid out with your images and your video and your transitions all on the timeline. But you don't have to. So what does all this look like as it's moving around and how we would actually use it in a project? That is why we have Marcello with us, because he is the expert and he is going to show us what that looks like. If you need a tour, this little shortened URL is your friend. So the dot is between the I and the P. So it's descript.pt/tour. And this is on our help center, which will show you where all these things live. And if there's, one or two you didn't care about, you can skip those, but make sure you open that in your browser tab or write that down. And I am going to pass it on to Marcello, who's going to show us a live demo.
Awesome. All right, let me share my screen. Make sure you can see and hear this. All right, can you see this? I'm just a quick sound test to make sure you can hear.
Welcome back to another episode of...
Can you hear? All right, cool. So thank you, Aaron, for giving that quick intro. What we're gonna look at really quick is a video that I've edited with Descript. We're going to take a brief peek at like the first couple of seconds of this video just to see what we're working towards. And then we'll go into detail about each of the pieces of the interface and what we did or what elements made up the creation of this video. So I'll play this back for a moment just so we can kind of see what our end result looks like.
Welcome back to another episode of Marcello Explains It All. Today, we're talking about Descript. Whether you're a seasoned editor or just starting out with recording, Descript is as easy as whatever is easiest for you. Now you might be wondering, why would we choose Descript, Marcello? Descript isn't just another recording tool. It's an editing platform that's transforming the way that people handle audio and video editing.
Cool. You get the idea. There's me talking to a screen with a nice backdrop. Like Aaron mentioned, we'll see also the view of a green screen shortly. So here I am standing in front of a purple background, but we could put ourselves somewhere else if we want to shortly. But cool. What we saw was just a quick video that I recorded directly into Descript. Like Aaron mentioned, you can bring video content into Descript via import. We have ways to import files from your computer, from like a Zoom account, whatever, or you can record media directly into Descript. There's a little record button here at the bottom. But once you've recorded that media, as Aaron mentioned, we'll get our transcription here on the left-hand side. So to go into this interface tour, I'll be taking us from the left-hand side through the right, starting here again with our transcription on the left. Now, each word that I've said in this video is transcribed and placed here in my script area. So upon playback, each individual word is highlighted as I'm saying it.
Welcome back to another episode of Marcello Explains It All.
Cool. So like Aaron mentioned earlier, if we wanted to do something basic like text editing in a Google Doc, if I wanted to remove this first section of my video, I can make a selection with my cursor. I click delete on my keyboard, and I've removed that section of the video entirely. So we're starting right where I say, today we're talking about Descript.
Today, we're talking about Descript.
Instead of having that little airy intro in the beginning. So you'll hear me say probably Descript is as easy to edit as a Word doc or an assortment of other tools throughout today's session. But again, the idea is if you have edited a Word doc, you can edit inside of Descript. So that's some very basic text editing with it. Again, we're just selecting some text and clicking delete. But let's look at some more text editing tools. So we'll first select any range of text. Let's say I'm just going to select my name here. When I make a text selection of any amount, above my text, there is a mini menu that appears. So this mini menu contains quite a bit of information, but I want to call this out because this menu appears in a couple different places. So you'll see this smart menu appear across the product. We'll see a couple of things here like Underlord, like we saw earlier. We have options to change the layout or add layers, which we'll talk about in a moment. But from correct and onward, let's look at some text-based editing tools. So here I have the option to correct this text. Let's say that something was mistranscribed, like when I use Descript and I transcribe my name is not in the English dictionary. So it'll come out as marshmallow instead of Marcello at times. So let's say I wanted to correct that, right? If I select some text, I click correct. And here, right above that word, I can select, again, multiple words, but here I'm just selecting one. But if I wanted to correct this one word, I have a corrected modal that appears above this word. And I can type in, whatever here to correct it. Let's say my name is spelled with one L and maybe Descript messed up. Now I can click correct or correct all. Very similar to a Word doc. This is almost like a find and replace style tool, right? So I'm selecting this word, I'm clicking correct all, and now I have this modal that shows, hey, here's 6 times that your name is spelled this way or that a word is spelled this way. Do you want to correct one instance or all instances of this in case maybe there's different representations of that word? So here we can do some basic text editing, but again, very similar to a find and replace that you'd see in a Word doc. Moving to the right-hand side, we have regenerate here. We won't talk much about AI speech today, but for those that don't know, regenerate is part of our AI speech toolkit. We have the ability to generate text-to-speech audio with Descript. And here in this instance, I've trained an AI version of my voice. So I've read a consent statement saying, I hereby solemnly swear that Descript can take my voice and use it. But I have the ability for my own voice to be generated with text-to-speech or a library of stock speakers that you can use. But let's say here I said, welcome back to another episode of Marcello Explains It All. But I messed up the script. The show's actually called Marcello Explains It to You, right? If I select the word all here, I can click regenerate. I can type in to you, which would be the correct script, right? And I click regenerate. Now it's going to use my AI voice to put in my voice here to read the correct statement. So this is an extension of text-based editing, but again, we have text-to-speech options for you there. And then here you have the ability to play that back. So here's my update.
Another episode of Marcello Explains It to You. Today, we're talking about...
So corrected my script just in case I said something wrong there. But that's another really useful tool inside of Descript. Moving on to the right-hand side on this mini menu, we have strike through or ignore. Ignore allows you to retain what is on, like what's in the script, but it skips over it in playback. So instead of deleting something, I can have that text ignored instead. Let's say me and Aaron are collaborating back and forth. Instead of Aaron removing a section of media, right, and me having no idea what's in there, I, as a style tip, would say like, hey, Aaron, can you just strike that through so I can like at least see what was removed before we know for sure we want to remove that. It's helpful in a collaboration sense because if I just delete the word Descript, you don't even know it's there, right? Versus if I ignore something or strike it through, I at least can see what was cut. So I know if I do or don't want to cut that in a collaborative moment.
Yep. And sometimes that's helpful in taking your transcript to do something with, because you might want that as context and you can decide if the things that you ignored show up in your transcript when you export it or not.
Exactly. Cool. And then these last things here on the mini menu, we have everyone's favorite text-based editing tools. We've got bold, italics. Here we have highlight. We have duplicate to, meaning I can copy a portion of what I'm selecting to a new composition. And then here on the very far right, we have commenting. Again, very similar to a Google Doc. Let's say I'm collaborating with someone back and forth and I need to leave a comment on this tab. Here I can @mention Aaron, who's not part of this project, but if he was, he would show up here. But here I can @mention another user or leave a comment saying like, hey, cut this out. It doesn't look good. Can I type? Oh my goodness. Boom. All right. And then I leave that as a comment here. When now on the right-hand side of my screen in this comment sidebar, we have selection or section-based comments that can be actioned on. Again, I can @mention someone if they are a member of my drive or a collaborative partner. If I did, like, let's say I mentioned Aaron, Aaron would get a or an email in their email address saying, hey, Marcello commented on a project for you. And then he would get dropped right into this area of the project. But really cool for collaboration. I've just been showing that off a lot recently, so I just had to highlight that. That's really cool. Anything else there before I get into some scenes and layouts, Aaron?
No. What would be a good use of regenerate? Like, what would be a use case for somebody where they go, when is it helpful to have the AI speech come back saying different words than I recorded it?
Yeah, so like there's a couple times that I would say that this could be useful, but like let's say that you have like you have a voice talent that you only have a certain certain number of hours that you can record with them or something like that. Like I myself have been in recording studios before where you only get like an hour, right? So I'm paying X amount to record. I might not have time to re-record if a line is messed up. Or in a more like personal instance, there's a lot of times where that I will try to record, no matter if I'm sick or not, I will try to record voice content and my voice is really scratchy and it does not sound great. It sounds like I am sick, especially because I'm using nicer microphones. It's picking up some of my vocal flaws per se. Regenerate doesn't have to be used to like replace media or add media, but it can be used to regenerate or like re-enunciate your speech. Sometimes when I'm reading a script, I might like end the sentence like, I'm just sight reading, right? So I might end the sentence as a period when there's a question mark there. Or when I'm sick, I have like a grovelly voice. I could use regenerate instead of changing what I'm saying to just restate what I'm saying with my AI voice, potentially in a clearer or more correct fashion to the script itself. I wake up sometimes with like vocal fry, right? And I'm trying to record first thing in the morning. That doesn't sound great. I can regenerate and, clean up that script. It's one of the ways to do it, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like whiteout for your audio. 'Cause there's
Exactly.
times you wouldn't white out the whole paper, but you're like, oh, everything's good except that little spot.
It's a really great way to look at it. Tight. All right. So now let's look at these thumbnails that are appearing. So in the whole time I've been editing, you've seen these thumbnails appear in my script. And you might be asking, Marcello, what are those? And Marcello, I'm going to tell you what those are. These are scenes. Earlier, I said Descript is as easy to edit as a Word doc. You can also see it as easy to edit as like a slide deck, right? Scenes are each slide in our deck, and they progress throughout my video. So each of these thumbnails progress like a slide would in my like deck presentation, right? The reason that I would use or go to a next slide in a presentation would be to change the visuals that I see on screen or some content that I'm sharing. With a scene, it's the same idea. Anytime I want to change the visuals on screen, I would introduce a new scene into my media, and then I would be able to add or remove what's on screen. I can introduce a scene by clicking the / key on my keyboard. So let's say I wanted to change the visuals right here, where right before I say whatever is easiest for you. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click the / key on my keyboard. There's also like an insert button that I can do, but just a / here. I now see a thumbnail introduced exactly where my cursor was. So now this is allowing me to change what is on screen. You'll see here, like as this video progresses, there's changing throughout this, but now I want to alter this next scene. So how would we change like a scene? How do we change the visuals on screen? We can drag and drop in media that we'll show in a little bit. We can, prompt AI to make an image for us. But let's say for this, I just want to show like my quote on screen. I want to show just captions, right? I can use Descript's layouts to do so. Layouts are where visuals are laid out on the screen. So if I click on this layout button here that appears above my scene, I'll see a library of layouts. Here's a bunch of layouts that Descript has created for everyone to access. You can see a bunch of different style layouts here, like just the default camera, a zoom in or an extreme zoom in for, like a very close-up quote. Here, if I had a screen recording or any kind of product demonstration or educational video, like Aaron mentioned earlier, I have layouts for all of those. But I'm going to go down here to like a quote one that I think might be good. We have like a caption one down here somewhere. Yep. Captions. I want a big old caption. I click that, and now I've replaced every visual on screen with the layout that Descript has by default. So now to play this back in a couple of clicks, I've gone from me on screen to captions clearly shown on screen with an easy visual. But here's that played back.
Welcome back to another episode of Marcello Explains It to You. Today, we're talking about Descript. Whether you're a seasoned editor or just starting out with recording, Descript is as easy as whatever is easiest for you.
Cool. I like showing that because I think that's a good quote. But that is how quickly you can change the visuals on screen by using Descript's powerful scene and layout features. Again, just to cap that, scenes are the periods of time that visuals are on screen. Going to the next scene is a change in visuals. So each scene, again, being kind of like a slide. And the layout being the visual layout of that scene. Kind of think of it like, a visual template. I can see here changes in that layout, but here I have my library of layouts. The cool thing with layouts is that they are not like, set in stone. These are customizable. So here, I'm going to now customize this layout so I can save it for later. Let's say I like this purple, right? These captions are blue. I like this purple. I want to change this color so that it highlights in a different color. I can select the captions on screen, change my color, and then use a purple that I have pre-saved here from when I color dropped this earlier. So now, again, with a couple of clicks, I'm going from a Descript default to
recording. Descript is as easy as whatever is easiest for you.
Something stylized that fits my content and the background of the video that I had earlier. Now let's say I want to save this for future use. I can just right click the thumbnail that I have here in my script. And at the bottom here, I have same scene as a new layout. I already have this saved. Peek behind the curtain, so it's not letting me save here, but you have the option to save here. But also you could change the layout from here, copy, merge, or alter layouts. So here you have control of that. And again, that's just by right-clicking the thumbnail that appears here in your script. And again, it's as easy as editing as a Word doc, a slide deck, but we haven't even left the script area. I think that's the cool part about this basic editing.
Can we shout out some comments? Because we have some really good questions.
Yeah.
I mean, so the first one is leading light series. Your confidence is soaring as you watch because you're a beginner. That's exactly what Descript does. Is it tricks you into thinking you're a video editor and all the people who see your stuff. So good. That's exactly what we want to have happen. The asset repository. So if you use the same clips or logos, you can now search across other projects. So the old way, and all of us have lived this life, iCloud folder here, there's my video, drag and drop every time I want to use it in a new project. You can now just go back and search it, which is why you need to name your files something you can find. But that is now a feature. So you can reuse clips, logos, graphics, whatever. Another question was the quote just automatically showed up and you didn't have to type that in, Marcello. How did it know what the caption quote was?
Yeah, so this is the power of Descript's transcription text-based editing. We have almost a cheat code, like a backdoor, right? This quote is just what I said. These are technically just captions or like closed captions on screen. So it's not that I had to type anything in. Descript has multiple ways to pull either a quote or the summary of a quote to display it on screen. But the layout that I selected, if we look at it down here, like the bottom of my Helsinki Blueberry list, which is my favorite group of layouts, down here, there is just like a caption one that I used here. So these captions are just displaying the transcription on the left-hand side. So it knew what I was saying, so it can display that here on the left. But to circle back to like the correct button that I showed earlier, that's why it's super important to make sure that your transcription is clean, because once your transcription is clean, you have a one-click solution to captions and quotes that appear on screen that are just one for one what you said out loud. Or again, there's ways to like add text on here. If I wanted to like alter the quote or quote somebody else that's not on screen, I can do so. But again, what I selected is caption, so it's just showing what I said and then stylized with that purple background that I put on.
Yeah, and what's really powerful is any other video that he wants to use that, or maybe 8 scenes down, he can just click copy and paste that on a scene. So he might have 20 scenes in a video, but it's only 3 different layouts, and he's just switching back to which one shows up. Another really good question in the chat was, could you have a slide come up and cover instead of a quote?
Oh, totally. Yeah. I think that's just depending on, so like with Descript, right? We have all these free layouts that everyone can use. But if there's something here that you like, that's like a jumping off point, like I showed, you can use one of our layouts and then alter that. Or if you want to make something brand new, we have a create your own custom layout option. But yes, you could have, like, if you're literally importing slides from, an external resource into Descript, we have ways for you to do a slide import and then save those slides as a layout for future use, assuming you might use an intro and an outro slide every time.
Yep, absolutely. And then another question from Man Cave Comics.
Sick.
Can you use it to, can you use Descript to record the video for a product and then edit it there? Or do you have to drop the video in? You can do it either way. So
you can absolutely do it either way.
You can even record with other people and your screen, or just you, or just your screen. Whatever's easiest for you.
Yeah, nice. I saw on here, or just to show on here, I showed this earlier, but here's the 4 options for recording with Descript. You have camera, so like just you. That's what I used in this video. It's just me looking at a camera in our nice studio in San Francisco. We have screen, so if I'm going to do a product demonstration, I'm screen sharing Descript. I can record my screen, so it's my camera and whatever's displayed on screen. I could do audio only for my vintage podcast hosts. And then here I have record with others if I wanted to do like a Zoom call style video. I can have up to 10 other people. We all record in, and any of these 4 that I select, the media is automatically dropped into my project and then starts transcription right away. Super
And you can screen share when you're recording with others as well. So if you're doing a product demo with 5 other people and they need to see your screen, you can capture all of those feeds, and it's just a project in Descript when you're done.
We can have multiple screen shares at once as well. So in case you and someone else need to duel for attention for a product demonstration, you can both do it. Cool. All right. So that's all for scenes and layouts. Let's look just quickly at this video area, and then I want to talk about some of our AI tools and Underlord like we talked about earlier. So when I was selecting any of this text over here, we saw this mini menu appear. I was mentioning that it appears in some other places, and it will persist here in our scene editor, right? We had scenes here. This video preview is our scene editor. So when I select anything in our scene editor, this mini menu appears above. We'll have options similar to text editing. We had some text specific options. Here, when I select an image, I have image editing specific options like replacing media, cropping something, or changing the size or shape of this. I also have the ability to add effects and animations. So if I want this Descript logo to 360 flip off screen, I can do so. And then if I select myself, or like here, if I go now to like these text elements, now I have different options for what I'm affecting. Earlier, we saw that I changed the color, but here I can select like a background fill. I can change the font, the size of the text, anything like that. One thing that I will just call out here is that whenever you make any change, you have options to change something either on the current scene or multiple scenes. So if an element appears more than once, here at the bottom of the video preview, you'll see the option to affect the current scene or all scenes. So if I if I crop my video, do I want that to affect every time I'm on screen or just for this one instance? Since we talked about scenes, we should all know to make sure like if I wanted to change for one, I just affect it for that scene, and for all for the entire video. Cool. All right, that's all I wanted to talk about there. It's very, very easy. The video preview is pretty basic. Again, we're text-based editing heavy, so a lot of the tools are here on the left. But now let's look on the right-hand side. We have the properties panel, which will be the expanded mini menu. So this like thing that I clicked here, this mini menu, the expanded version of that is on here on the right-hand side. Here's where I can see more granular details of effects or parameters for an element or for something I'm selecting. Here, the next one down, I have elements. So here's where I can manually bring on things like text if I wanted to quote someone on screen rather than just show my captions. Here I have my captions options and then my stock media availability. So if I wanted to grab some stock media or sounds, I can do so here.
Now, so one of the hidden secrets of Descript is especially when you're first starting out, you don't have a bunch of stock audio and video, and you're publishing somewhere like YouTube. You don't want to get a copyright strike. We have an awesome built-in library that you can use for anything, commercial purposes included.
100%. And that goes for both audio and visuals. But here I've shown some manual ways to do a lot of things in Descript, right? We looked at text-based editing, we looked at regenerating, we looked at cutting, chopping, adding scenes manually. But let's start to see how AI can maybe help us carry some of that weight. So here on the right-hand side of Descript, we have the AI tools button. Aaron talked about this earlier, but there's 5 groups inside of AI tools. We have sound good, look good, repurpose, publish, and write. I'll talk about each, like some of the features in each of these sections, but for everyone at home, if you just hover your cursor above each of these features, it gives a little preview of what the effect or feature does. So here with Studio Sound, like Aaron mentioned earlier, Studio Sound is one of my favorite features is our background noise removal and vocal enhancement tool. So if I live in a city, if I open my bedroom window, you hear the city. If I click Studio Sound, it removes the city. My cat has been meowing and trying to break into this room for the past 15 minutes. You would hear that. If you can't hear that here, my bad, but also it would remove that too. But that's one of the features. Here, another one of my favorite features is remove filler words. If you've heard me speak at all, you know that it sounds like I was trained on early Rocket Power clips to speak. So I used the word like and I use filler words, right? So removing filler words would scan my whole script and remove any instance of a filler word here. Here's a full list of filler words, and it even finds repeat words. So I say the word essentially when I'm trying to sound smart in front of a group of people. So here would catch if I said essentially more than a few times in my script. It's a useful tool for quite a few people. But that sounded good. Again, the audio quality or the professionalism of your speech sounded good. We have look good here, which includes eye contact and green screen. Eye contact being if you use a teleprompter, it snaps your eyes to camera feature. Super, super useful for teleprompt people. And then green screen, we all know what that is. We talked about generative video. We'll circle back to that in just a second, but just to talk about these last groups down here, we have repurpose, where I could take a long form webinar like this and repurpose this into shorter, TikTok style clips, or I could translate my content to repurpose it to other regions that might want to hear what I'm saying. We have some other ones down here for post and pre-editing as well. Writing, in case you need help getting your script started, and publishing, in case you need help summarizing your content. But a little bit further up here, let's circle back to generative content. So AI tools can do a lot for us in terms of editing, but it also can fill in some of the gaps, right? When we have things like we saw earlier, I don't know how to do claymation. I really genuinely wish I did, because I watched a lot of claymation YouTube videos when I was a kid, but I don't know how to make, claymation content. In theory, I do, but I don't have any clay. So let's say I want to use Descript to do that instead, right? I'll click generate video here in our look good tools, and I'll describe something that I want. So I want claymation, IT worker, typing fast at a computer, well lit, pastel color set. Here, I can select what model I'm using. I'm just using Pixverse for now, where I would select the duration of my clip, my resolution, the aspect ratio, and so on. If I had an image that I wanted to use as like a starting off point, I could do so. Here, I'm just raw prompting, so from 0 to nothing. But if I wanted to, take an image of myself and walk down the street in a city I've never been, I can upload a picture of myself and say, put me in Rome, because I've never been there. But here, I'm going to click generate. And this will take a moment for us to generate some video. While it's going, Aaron, any thoughts on what we should generate for images? Maybe crowdsource image generation prompt.
Yeah, I was gonna say if you have a funny idea in the chat,
please drop it. Seriously.
I felt really stupid because for a long time, longer than I want to say on the live stream, I thought studio sound was an on-off, and we had some questions like from Terry Pappy about studio sound kind of removing too much. There's also a slider, so you can increase and decrease the intensity. What most of us find is if you're consistently recording in the same setup on the same mic, you'll find your happy spot, and then you'll just know I'm a 40%er, I'm a 70%er. Almost no one prefers 100%, so don't forget that you can go into Studio Sound and manually adjust it.
Yeah, I think the 100% works if you are in already a pretty good recording condition. But like for me personally, I know that I'm usually between, I think I said this in our last live stream, but I'm usually between like 80 and 85%. Because I know the room that I'm recording in primarily. This room, as well as the studio in our office, have very similar echo ratios. So like I know where to play within. But if you needed to adjust it, it's not just an all or nothing. You have the ability to increase or decrease the intensity.
Yeah. So the first shout out, Thriving Under Fire, for the generative idea. This person would love to see you being attacked by an angry cat. Maybe the cat busting through your door or something. We'll see if there's any content guardrails about human versus animal violence.
My cat would win is the thing. I have a for longtime viewers, you might know I have a cat named William. He's a wonderful black cat that torments me in the best of ways. But here's I'll get an image or video for that. If you Aaron, can you type that prompt or drop that prompt in our chat so I can copy paste that. But here's our generative media clip for the claymation that I had. So I asked for an IT worker, typing fast at a computer, pastel color set, well lit, claymation, right? Here is my output. That looks pretty cool. So here I can insert as a new layer, or if I wanted to, I can readjust my prompt. So like, I don't like those colors, like Gothic color set. And then I can generate again. If I wanted to here as well, I can choose a style. So by default, Descript has a couple styles. We have 3D animation, so kind of similar to claymation. Stop motion, if I wanted some, again, like straight up claymation. But if I click here, I can browse all styles. So if I'm having a hard time describing this for you, or like to the AI, I can always open this and get like solar punk or flat illustration, these kind of presets. And then I'm gonna just screenshot myself really quick so we can have a picture of me being mauled by my cat.
What color is the cat?
My cat is a all black cat named William. He's a little freak. I love that dude. Shout out William.
Okay, there's a quick one for you in the chat. We'll see what it does.
All right,
I didn't know if you're gonna have a reference image.
Yeah, I'm up here. Here's a reference image of me. Cool. Got it. Okay, reference image is just a screenshot of me in this from this project. Angry cat burst their door while I'm in my bedroom. Boom. Cool. Generate. We'll see what that gives us. Here's another iteration of the claymation prompt as well, and like a darker tone. I actually kind of like that one more because I just rewatched The Matrix recently, and that green screen is making me feel something. So I can click plus here. Okay. Yep. We're getting contact flagged. So so you can't have your cat attacking you. FYI, you can generate quite a bit with Descript, but we do have some guardrails. Like I cannot ask for, I don't know, like Iron Man and Batman on a full-fledged fist fight with each other or something like that. But just FYI there. But cool. So that's how we can generate video and image with AI tools here, but wanted to also show to cap things Underlord. We talked about Underlord earlier, our AI editing assistant. Underlord lives on the bottom right here of Descript. But I could also utilize Underlord for editing or for image and media generation. So before I was, showing some pretty manual editing where we were selecting in the text range. Then we zoomed out a little bit and we did some quick actions with AI tools. But if I really want to, say AI, take the wheel and go full hands off, I can open Underlord to prompt and create things for me or edit my media. I could do things as basic as ask, hey, can you add background music to this video that fits the vibe? Boom. I can ask it something broad like this for a stylistic assist. So here I can say like, hey, I'm kind of at an impasse, right? I'm out of coffee and I'm out of ideas. Underlord, can you add some music that fits the vibe, right? What goes here? I could also say, hey, Underlord, I've imported a file specifically called corporate background music 001.mp3. Please use that throughout the totality of my project. And also splice in the captions like this, my captions quote every 2 to 3 minutes, right? Underlord can get as specific or as broad as you want. I think the main thing is prompting to make sure that you like have a good feel of what's going on. But like Aaron mentioned, it's similar to how someone would use a ChatGPT or an LLM. You can interact with Underlord in a plain text fashion to edit media, to generate media, anything like that. Here, in the matter of time that I have been talking about Underlord, it's already done adding music to the video. So let's see what this bad boy did.
Welcome back to another episode of Marcello. Today, we're talking about Descript. Whether you're a seasoned editor or...
You got the vibe perfectly. But here is where I could go with a back and forth with Underlord, right? Hey, that was kind of loud, right? Let's turn down the volume. So here I can say, that sounded great, but a bit loud. Can you decrease the volume?
And an underrated use case for Underlord is it can help you discover stuff that you maybe didn't know the word for, or that that was a thing. So you might not know how to turn down the volume, but now that you know you can, it might be something you do on your own, and it can help surface some of those things for you without having to be an expert on it from day one.
One thing that I think is hilarious that I didn't even prompt it, but I said out loud. So when Underlord is taking actions, it's taking them in real time. It is not doing 15 things bulk at once. It is going through step by step and taking action on your project. So here, when I asked it, hey, can you give me background music? It said, cool, here's my plan of action. I'm going to search the background music. I'm going to select it, and then I'm going to ensure that the music fades out smoothly. I played it back before Underlord was done. Here, further down, it said, hey, just so you know, I selected the music. Then I set it to play throughout. Also, I lowered the music so it doesn't overpower your narration, and it enabled a specific audio effect to make sure that my voice did not get overpowered. Let's hear what that sounds like now.
Welcome back to another episode of Marcello Explains It to You. Today, we're talking about Descript.
Now a little bit quieter, maybe too quiet. But now again, I go back and forth with Underlord to correct that, right? But it's cool that it even said, like, from that, it even was like, hey, I lowered the music volume so it doesn't overpower you, and I added ducking. If you want a different music style, or if the music only wants to show up in certain areas, let me know. So I can go back and forth with an editing pass with Underlord. And the most important thing here is at the bottom, it shows details, like Aaron mentioned. If I want to see specifically what Underlord did here, I can see, okay, it applied audio and visual changes, those being ducking and lowering music volume. So now I can maybe do this later or give this note to another co-editor in the future, like, hey, here's what Underlord did. Maybe we should try that, or prompt it to try that to make this video or audio improve. And then once you have a prompt that you like, or if you wanted to even check out prompts that other people or we here at Descript have made, similar to layouts, you can save your own prompts as templates to use later on, or browse templates that Descript has created. So here from a blank Underlord menu, at the top here, I have a browse popular templates button. And here's all of the templates that are created by Descript for all to use. And similar with layouts, I can use these as a starting off point. So here, this template is edit a video. If I click here, I can see the full prompt of what is being asked for when I ask it to edit a video. Here's a workflow. If I wanted to, I can use this or copy this and paste it to my prompt and add on to it if I wanted to alter something. But these are really, really powerful prompts that can be used by anybody. And then if you make a prompt, if you have a good session back and forth with Underlord, you say, man, this is really useful. I want to I want to do this again tomorrow, or I want to share this with Aaron to improve his workflow. I can click a new template here on the top right. And that allows me to add in my own prompt, title it, tag it, give it a cool little thumbnail, and use that for future use, just like our layouts. But I think for everyone, if you have not played with Underlord yet, this is one of the most powerful tools that Descript/any media editor has at all. Being able to go from the granular content of text-based editing, or even, to show quickly the scary timeline can be down here. I can go in and manually edit, or I can really zoom out and automate, or, get guided help with a lot of my editing through tools like AI tools, and especially Underlord. If you get a good prompt in, save that. It's going to be very, very useful to make your editing streamlined.
Yeah. So Right Fit Advisory would like to see where those generated clips live in your project, because they want to see, how do I actually get that in my video? So maybe the project folder
Totally. So
idea.
Yeah, there's a couple ways to do it. So like here, these two videos that I generated, there's a little plus button on the top right of each of the videos that I generate. This is for video or image. If I click insert new layer, it will drop that here into the current scene that I am looking at. But if I just want to see the content, here at the very top right of Descript, I have a project file folder. And here under AI assets, whenever you generate video or images, there is an AI assets folder automatically created where you can see these two. So here's my Claymation IT typist and my Claymation IT worker files. These files are automatically named by by Underlord or whatever AI tool we are using to create. But again, they are found here in the project files folder. Here's where I can add them to a new layer. I can ask Underlord more about them. I can get information about the files like frame rate, duration, file size, and so on. But that's all, again, here on the project files folder. This is also where all of the media that I have in this project is stored. So if I were to click and drag something into Descript, here's where I would find that. And also, if I wanted to import something, there is a plus button right here to the right of files. I have the option to scan a QR and import from my phone, import from a Zoom call that I had last week, do a slide deck import if I'm trying to do a creative or a presentation with Descript. But yeah. Sorry, over-explained. It's here in the projects.
No, that's beautiful. And don't forget, let's say he made the Claymation IT worker video in this project, but he's working on a new one next week. If he goes and tries to regenerate that, he's never going to get the exact same visuals, but he can add from that other project's menu, as long as he knows what he called it. That's now searchable across all future projects, which is amazing.
Yeah, this is a relatively new feature and huge. But like Aaron just mentioned, I don't know if that was intentional or in passing, but as long as I know what it's named. So here's a big thing, like ignore my background. My real life is dirty. My digital life is clean, okay? Keep your desktop clean, keep your projects clean, and keep your file naming solid. Here at the top of my screen, what do I got? The name of my project. This is clearly named. So if I, in a future state, need to pull a file, like Aaron is mentioning, from this project, I know that this file is, or this project is called Marcello demo example, December 25, because that's when I was using it. And the file in here is Claymation IT Worker. If I want to make this more clear, I can even right click, rename, and put like pastel color, because that's what I know I prompted for that, just to give myself even more clarification. And then this one was like Gothic style or whatever. Boom. Like, so I have a very specific name so that I can find these in future usage. If you are collaborating with anybody, please, 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 clear, clean naming file conventions is the best way to keep friends at work. That's all.
And I consider working on a project in a different state as collaborating with someone, because you don't remember what thing you did at 2 a.m. last week when you recorded it. So really everyone should.
Real.
Yeah, Forever Young just asked how to rename it. So you organically answered that question.
Look at that. Yeah, just right click anything on here and you have a rename option. This goes for project. This goes for name of compositions, anything like that. Cool.
Yes.
Let's just really quickly look at where these go export wise. Here, just to call out before we take any other questions, export. Let's say I'm done editing. I want to get this out of Descript. How do I get this out, Marcello? Here you go, Marcello. Top, very, very top right of the screen, we have export. We can do audio or video only exports. Let's say I just want to do the podcast version of this. I can export audio or video. I have destinations here. Here I can export as a local file to my computer or to like YouTube or something like that. I also have options for exporting to other professional tools. So if I'm, using Descript as part of my workflow and I'm going from like Descript to Premiere, I can do so. And then here I have, just in case, my transcription and subtitle exports in case I need those for any reason. But that is all. Now you know how to use Descript, or at least where everything is, where all the buttons go, and how to generate media.
Yeah. And if you're someone who's done some video editing before, one of my favorite export features is you can go to YouTube without downloading your file locally, going to YouTube and then uploading it, because that eats all of your hard drive space. You don't actually have to download your video from Descript to your machine.
Correct.
So anyone who's ever had to do that before, you aren't going to need a bunch of external hard drives or storage upgrades if you're going to YouTube.
Yeah, you can even set the access of the video, so you can put it as private here, description, anything like that. Just how I do, because we don't have all the buttons that you would have in like a YouTube studio. Usually I set to private first, and then I can update anything else I need on that side. Or if this is ready to go, mark it as public. Let it hit.
Yep. Or if you're just using YouTube to share stuff, you can mark it as unlisted and send people the link, and you don't have to worry about storing that. How about, could you show us the model picker in Underlord? We have a great question from Victor about our GPT or model that we're using being up to date, better or worse than what's out there. You'll notice he clicked that little Rubicon icon. You can manually pick that, or you can let it choose based on the task. Those are the API models. Like, it's the same Claude Sonnet 4.5 you would get on any other site. It's just getting piped through our app that understands the tools and how to use it, more than if you just said, hey, Claude, edit my video. It can tell you ideas, but it can't actually do anything for you.
Yeah, consider the like, if you're going to ask Underlord to take an action for you, consider the auto like the Rosetta Stone between Descript and other LLMs, right? Like, this is like I could pick GPT-4, Gemini, right? But I would click some of these if I'm maybe like asking to write a script, or like maybe some of the more like, hey, like I need to search the web, like what's a trendy topic, and less insert 4 scenes into my video and recall a layout pack that I created last week. But yeah.
Yeah. How about B-roll? Like, what is B-roll and what's an example?
Yeah.
Say in your video how you would use it. We got a good question about B-roll in the chat.
Yeah. So B-roll is so like A-roll is me. In this video, I am the A-roll. But yeah, let's see, hold on. Yeah, no, so like I'm the A-roll, so I could like be the main content on screen. B-roll would be like here, if I put a video of Descript, like a screenshot of Descript over top, that would be B-roll. B-roll could be anything in my media library here, like visuals, like, hey, I need this scenic backdrop behind me. Any content that isn't your focal content, anything that isn't like this person speaking and standing there, it would be your B-roll content. We can generate B-roll content using like that AI tool, like that. In theory, that claymation image I made earlier would be like B-roll content. But yeah, it is A roll, to clarify what B roll is, you got to clarify what A roll is. A roll is your primary content. B roll is just this stuff alongside it.
Yeah, that's a great. So like the claymation person could be his B-roll. If he's talking about an office worker who's typing, instead of showing him speaking into the mic, the on-screen view could be the video of the person typing. So that would be B-roll. And a cool thing about AI is you can make your own B-roll. It used to be whatever's in the library or you could film yourself was the limit.
Mm-hmm.
That is no longer the case.
I think that's one of my favorite things about generative media is like there's not a lot of times I'm generating like me getting mauled by a cat, right? And no matter if I can or not. But a lot of the times I'm like, hey, I don't have this in between frame for there was a video I did recently where I was talking about trains. I've never been to Munich and I needed something about like some trains and like the style of trains there. You can generate that. There's images for that as well. But like, how much time am I going to spend looking for that when I say like, hey, give me a train in this style or this kind of content?
Yeah. And then a great segue to the feedback that we're going to put the QR code back on screen. If you jumped in since we started or haven't had a chance to send it, Kim4228 had a great question in the YouTube chat about a tutorial on creating vertical shorts from your standard horizontal webinar recordings. If that is something that you would like to see as a dedicated topic for a webinar like this, like, hey, let's take the whole hour and repurpose a long form video into clips, that would be a great thing to put in the feedback form for us. There is the create clips option that's built in under AI tools, and then you would go to look good.
Mm-hmm. There's under repurpose. There's also, this is where you could also ask Underlord, like, hey, create me a highlight reel, or say like, hey, create me some social clips, those kind of ones. But yeah.
Yeah. But what's cool is you'll find a layout that works for you. And then based on what Marcello showed us today, save that. And then you can make all your future clips, captions, logos, everything look how you want them without having to redo it ever again.
Yeah. And then here you can see like all of our gallery layouts. Like here's every layout that Descript has available for everybody. Here's private ones that I've made for some test accounts. And then here's ones that are shared between myself and everyone else that's a member of our drive.
Yeah, awesome. And then definitely shout out Alex in
big shout out Alex.
Chat. I don't know if Alex's voice to text typing or just has a way higher word per minute than I do. I can't believe how fast those answers are coming up and tagging the people. That is really hard to do in YouTube. So shout out Alex, because I got the chat.
Yeah, I got the absolute pleasure of working with Alex up until very, very recently on the support org. And Alex, very good dude. Shout out, very big shout out, Alex.
Yeah, do not get into a type off with Alex. You will lose. Yeah. So should we throw the the QR code and the feedback up there? Perfect. Read my mind. If you didn't already scan this in, we promise it's only 2 questions. It'll take you longer to get up from your desk than it does to answer this. It helps us know what we can do better and what topics you want, like the questions about repurposing clips. If that's something that you want to see even as a standalone format, we are open to whatever helps you understand the tool better and use it. Our favorite comments are all of the, I'm not a video editor, but I can do it. I'm confident. Like that's the whole purpose of this, is don't be intimidated when you know you have to sit down and make a video. We want you to look forward to it, have a great experience, and make it look good. Yeah. And then you can follow us on all of our socials. YouTube will house everything. If you are ready for the next level, if you're intrigued by the timeline and some of the AI tools, exactly a week from today, so next Tuesday, we will have 201 with Marcello, and we will go deeper and get more specific and level up what you learned today with the next webinar. It's free, it's live. We answer your questions, we laugh at you. We are not robots that are pre-recorded. Sign up for that. There's posts on our socials, LinkedIn, X, on our website. And if you're a user, you should get an email that reminds you of those.
And like we said, give that feedback. If you are curious about what you are curious about, like what's in the webinar, or you want to see something specific in that 201, drop that feedback. We would love to know.
Yep.
And there's
And tag
plenty
us
of ways I can go. Yeah.
Tag us with what you make. We want to see your video. We want to see your cool idea. We want to know you produce your podcast with our tool, and whatever platform you're posting about it on. Just tag us so we can see and hype your stuff and make sure other people see it. Yeah, awesome. Well, thanks for joining, Marcelo. You did all the heavy lifting today. You get asked to do a lot of things, so we appreciate him helping our new users, our people who want to level up their Descript skills to get better at this. You are the man. And there were some mentions in the chat that Descript is fun. I like you guys. The rest of people take that as you mean Marcelo is fun. That's how we interpret that feedback. So
If you want some more fun, shameless plug, tomorrow, every Wednesday, I do the office hours in our Discord. Join there's a Help Center article you can see on our thing. But if you want to see some more, me and some other people, like maybe Alex and some other support people will be popping on screen. So come hang. It's a good time.
Yep. And if not, 201 webinar next week, sign up for it, and we'll take you even further with your video editing skills.